It's one of the most familiar and endearing rituals we get to witness as dog owners. That moment when your dog, ready to settle down, suddenly becomes a frantic excavator. The paws start flying, the blanket gets bunched up, and they circle a few times before finally letting out a sigh and collapsing into their freshly renovated bed. We smile and say, "Oh, he's just getting comfy." We assume it's the canine equivalent of fluffing a pillow. And while there's a grain of truth to that, it's like saying the Grand Canyon is just a hole in the ground. You're missing the vast, profound story that created it. That scratching, digging, and circling isn't a modern quirk. It's not a silly habit picked up in your cozy living room. It's a message, a coded broadcast sent directly from the ancient, untamed world of their ancestors. This behavior is a living fossil, an echo of a time when survival depended on these very movements. To truly understand what your dog is telling you when they perform this ritual, we need to stop thinking of them as your pet for a moment and start seeing them as the descendants of incredibly successful wild predators. Their brains are still running ancient software, hardwired for a world without plush beds and heated floors. Today, we're decoding this primal message. We are going to uncover the 3 ancient, life-or-death reasons your dog meticulously prepares their sleeping spot. And the first reason is all about clearing the area of hidden dangers. Imagine you are your dog's distant ancestor, a wild canine, looking for a place to rest in the wilderness. You wouldn't just plop down anywhere. The tall grass, the leafy undergrowth, or a shallow burrow could be hiding any number of threats. Venomous snakes, scorpions, sharp rocks, or biting insects could be concealed just beneath the surface. Lying down to sleep is an act of extreme vulnerability. It's the time you are most likely to be attacked, so securing your resting spot wasn't just about comfort. It was a non-negotiable step for survival. So what did they do? They would use their paws and claws to dig, scratch, and clear the entire area. This vigorous excavation would drive out any unwanted guests, ensuring the ground was safe before they settled in for the night. Now, fast forward thousands of years to your living room. Your dog's bed is probably one of the safest places on the planet. There are no scorpions under the fleece blanket. There are no snakes hiding in the memory foam. But your dog doesn't know that. The instinct, that powerful ancestral software, is still running. So when they frantically scratch and dig at their bed, they are performing an ancient safety check. They are following a primal command that says, "Clear this space. Make sure it's safe. Only then can you rest." It's a ghost of a forgotten danger, a ritual that has kept their lineage alive for millennia. Every scratch is a testament to the survivors who came before them. But securing the den from physical threats is only the first part of the code. The second reason is just as crucial, and it's all about leaving a powerful, invisible message. This is about turning a simple space into a claimed territory. Your dog's paws are not just for walking and digging. They are sophisticated communication tools. Nestled between their paw pads are special glands, called interdigital glands. These glands secrete pheromones, a unique chemical cocktail that is like your dog's personal signature. It's an scent invisible to us, but to other canines, it's as clear as a giant neon sign that says, "This spot is taken by me." When your dog scratches at their bed, they are deliberately activating these glands and rubbing their unique scent deep into the fabric. In the wild, this was essential. Claiming a resting spot was a way to establish presence and social standing within a pack. It was a clear signal to other cannabinoids, both friend and foe. This act of scent marking creates a scent soaker, an area that is saturated with their own familiar smell. This has a profoundly calming effect on your dog. It reinforces their sense of security and belonging. They are not just preparing a bed. They are creating a sanctuary, a home base that smells unequivocally like them. It's the ultimate act of making a space their own. In a multi-dog household, you might notice this behavior is even more pronounced, as each dog works to establish their own personal, scent-marked zone. So we have a safety check to clear out hidden dangers, and a powerful scent signature to claim the territory as their own. Each scratch is a layer of security, both physical and psychological. But there is a third, remarkable reason for this ritual, and it reveals your dog's innate ability to act as their own personal thermostat. This instinct isn't just about feeling safe. It's about surviving the elements. You see, that digging is also an incredible feat of microclimate engineering. In the wild, a few degrees could mean the difference between a restful night and a fatal case of hypothermia. In cold weather, digging a shallow pit creates a small, insulated den. By circling in this depression, they create a burrow that traps their own body heat and shields them from biting winds. It's a simple, brilliant act of survival architecture. Conversely, On a scorching day, the surface of the earth can be dangerously hot. An ancient canid would scratch and dig away that sun-baked topsoil to expose the cooler, damp earth underneath. Lying on this cooler ground could prevent overheating and conserve precious energy. So when your dog is digging at the blankets, they could be instinctively trying to create that cool hollow or that warm, protective nest. They are acting as their own brilliant, fur-covered engineers. But here is where the story takes a sharp, unexpected turn. What if that's not the whole story? What if it's not even the most important part? We've decoded safety, territory, and temperature. These are logical, easy to understand survival instincts. But does it truly explain the frantic, almost obsessive nature of the ritual we see in our perfectly climate-controlled homes? Think about it. Your dog isn't in danger. Their territory is secure. The thermostat is set to a comfortable 22 degrees Celsius. So why do they sometimes dig with such urgency? What if they're responding to a danger you can't see? A threat you can't even comprehend? What if this behavior is not just a relic of the past, but an active response to the present? Some researchers are now exploring a far more unsettling possibility, that this digging is linked to a dog's astonishing ability to sense environmental changes that are completely invisible to us. Dogs have sensory abilities that border on the supernatural. Their hearing can detect frequencies far beyond our range, and they are incredibly sensitive to tiny vibrations in the ground. They can feel the drop in barometric pressure that precedes a major storm long before we see a single cloud. That's right. When your dog starts meticulously digging and arranging their bed, they might not just be getting comfortable. They could be preparing for a perceived threat. They are battening down the hatches. This is a primal, instinctual response to a silent alarm that only they can hear. The ancient software in their brain isn't just remembering old dangers like snakes. It's actively scanning for new ones. It's a genetic early warning system, and this creates a profound psychological conflict for the modern dog. Imagine it. You are flooded with an overwhelming, instinctual urge that a great danger is approaching. Your entire being screams at you to dig, to fortify your position, to prepare for the coming storm. But the storm never comes. The ground never shakes. The threat that their body is screaming about simply doesn't exist in their safe, modern world. This ritual, then, becomes more than just a quaint habit. It can be an expression of a deep, phantom anxiety, a genetic memory of a world where survival was a minute-by-minute battle against the elements. But this connection to the planet's hidden rhythms reveals something even more profound, because there is a fourth, and perhaps most touching, reason for this ritual. It has nothing to do with predators, or temperature, or phantom storms. It has to do with the very first wolf packs, and the powerful, emotional bonds that held them together. This final piece of the puzzle is all about family. But what if this family ritual is a lie? What if it's not about making a cozy nest, but about broadcasting a forgotten, heartbreaking message to the pack leader you? To understand this, we need to look closer at your dog's paws. Between those rough, durable paw pads are special interdigital glands that release pheromones. We've mentioned this in the context of territory marking, but that's only half the story. These aren't just simple, "I was here" signatures. They are complex chemical messages that convey emotion, status, and intent. When a dog scratches and digs, they are actively pumping these pheromones into the bedding. They are charging the area with their emotional state. Now, consider the wolf pack. A subordinate wolf would never just plop down in the alpha's presence. It would perform a ritual of appeasement. This digging ritual is a powerful signal. It says, "I recognize your authority. I am making myself small. I am not a threat." The scent it leaves behind reinforces this message for every member of the pack. It's a declaration of deference. So what message is your dog sending you? Every night when they perform this ritual, are they simply getting comfortable? Or are they performing a deeply ingrained act of social submission, constantly reaffirming your role as the pack leader and their role as the subordinate? The heartbreaking part isn't the submission itself, it's the potential disconnect. We see a cute, cozy habit. They might be broadcasting a vital message about their place in the world, a message we completely misinterpret. It's a conversation happening in a language we've forgotten we're a part of. But even this incredible social dynamic doesn't explain everything. It doesn't explain the sheer tenderness with which some dogs perform the ritual. It doesn't explain the fierce protective element we sometimes see. For that, we have to unlock the fifth and final chamber of this ancient mystery. And this reason is perhaps the most primal of them all. It goes back to the very perpetuation of the species. It's the instinct of a mother. When a pregnant female is about to give birth, she enters a phase called Nesting. Hormonal changes trigger an overwhelming urge to create a safe, warm, and clean den for her vulnerable newborns. She will dig, scratch, and arrange bedding obsessively, driven by a biological imperative more powerful than hunger or fear. This is the blueprint for a maternity ward, etched into her DNA. Your dog is performing the exact same behavior. They are meticulously preparing a nest. But here is the profound and aching question. Why do male dogs do it? Why do spayed females, who will never have puppies, perform this maternal ritual with such devotion? The answer is that the instinct is so fundamental, so critical to the survival of canines, that it exists as a ghost behavior in all of them. It is a powerful echo of parenthood, a hormonal memory that isn't dependent on the ability to actually have pups. They are answering a call that has resonated through their ancestors for 100,000 years. They are building a nursery for a family they will never have. That gentle patting with their paws, that soft nudge with their nose. We see it as cute, but it could be the ghost of a mother cleaning her den or nudging her phantom pups into place. A deep, subconscious act of love and protection for the young that exist only in their genetic memory. So the next time you see your dog spinning in circles, don't just see a dog getting comfy. You're witnessing a symphony of instincts playing out in your living room. A security expert clearing the area of hidden threats. A cartographer mapping their territory with an invisible language of scent. A brilliant engineer building their own climate-controlled shelter. A social diplomat carefully navigating the complex rules of a pack they were born to respect. And a devoted parent preparing a safe haven driven by the timeless, phantom echo of motherhood. This simple, everyday ritual is not simple at all. It is their history, their language, their fear, and their love, all expressed in a few frantic scratches and one perfect circle. It's a story they tell every single night. But what happens when this story turns into a nightmare? We've decoded the why, but what about the when? What happens when this ritualistic digging becomes excessive, destructive, and obsessive? What is the dog trying to tell us when the behavior shifts from a nightly routine into a frantic, non-stop compulsion? That's not just instinct anymore. That's a cry for help, and the reasons behind that cry are rooted in the modern world we've built for them. A world that sometimes, without us even realizing, begins to break their ancient minds. This frantic, destructive digging is a message in a language we can't afford to misunderstand. It's the sound of an ancient instinct being twisted by a modern problem. Anxiety. We've invited these descendants of wolves into our homes, but we've surrounded them with triggers their ancestors never knew. The deafening silence when we leave, the lack of space to run, the unspent energy coiling inside them like a spring. This digging is no longer about comfort. It's a desperate attempt to tunnel away from an invisible threat. It's an attempt to self-soothe when their primary source of comfort, you, is gone. It's a physical manifestation of a mind crying out for release. Sometimes, the cry is not just mental, but physical. An older dog, plagued by the deep, gnawing ache of arthritis, may dig obsessively. It isn't making a bed. It's trying to carve out a single position in the entire world that doesn't hurt. A desperate, fruitless search for relief from a pain it cannot name. The ultimate tragedy is that they are telling us everything we need to know. The shift in their ritual is a barometer for their well-being. But we have to be willing to look, to put down our phones, to pause our lives, and to truly see the story they're telling us with their paws and their whole being. So what is the answer? It is not to punish the instinct, but to understand its cause, to look at their world through their eyes. It is the long walk in the woods that soothes the anxious mind, the engaging puzzle toy that satisfies the busy brain, the veterinarian visit that eases the aching joint. The goal is not to stop the digging. It is to help them return the ritual to what it was always meant to be, not a desperate plea, but a peaceful whisper, a quiet declaration of safety, comfort, and belonging. That single, simple act, a scratch, a circle, a sigh, is a universe of meaning. It's a conversation stretching back 1,000 generations. It is the story of the wolf that lives within the friend sleeping at your feet, and their story is inextricably woven into ours. To decode more of the incredible stories our dogs are telling us every day, and to deepen the bond you share, join our expedition into their world. Subscribe to Canine, because understanding is the greatest gift we can ever give them.